and it's time to talk to Andrew O'Connell, who's, you know, Andrew has been pretty transparent about what he does. He competes in these trading championships. How are your standings after the turbulence, Andrew, that we've had over the past 2, 3 weeks?
Dale, what's
How
going
are you?
on, man? How are
Hey,
you? Can you hear me?
good. Yeah, great to have you back, buddy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, what's so crazy, Dale, is honestly, like, you're going to see this when I report my results, but my sequence throughout this has been pretty like picture perfect, and
Yeah,
I made
nice.
a lot of P&L on this event, so we can talk through, everything that we're seeing in the market and how this
Okay,
is all played out.
okay. Why don't you share your screen then, buddy?
Yes, let me go ahead. And I think pretty much almost every time I come on your program, I'm almost always trading TLT and the bonds. That's like one of my favorite things to trade. And that's how I was able to stay afloat in this big market turbulence and how I was able to
Okay.
make some P&L.
Yeah, nice move in bonds.
Yeah,
Do you think
so
it ended yesterday?
no, so that is a fantastic point. You want me to jump right over to the bonds?
Yeah, go ahead. That's what you brought up.
Yeah,
Let's
so
talk
let's
about TLT.
let's go over to TLT and I will show you the chart that I am
Oh,
trading.
okay. Yeah.
So yeah, as you can see here, what I noticed with these bonds was we started to get this kind of like narrowing formation over here.
Mhm.
And I've been trading the TLT pretty much throughout the year, trying to buy all these dips. I've primarily been using TLT call options. And some of the trades have been okay, small winners, some have been small losers. But I've kind of been waiting for that big explosive trade to the upside. And I ended up catching that right over here. So I was allocating to TLT really in this like 2 week zone over here where we were just kind of chopping and really the price action was narrowing. Then we ended up getting that catalyst. The inflation reports have been getting way better. And then we also got this panic in equities. And the bonds actually worked as they are intended to, where there was a growth scare. We got a weak jobs report. And then, yeah, the TLT just really moved out to the
How,
upside very
I,
quickly.
we know the history, Andrew. How now,
Yeah.
brown cow?
Yeah. So what I'm looking at now, I closed out of my TLT calls. Fortunately, I got hit with the broker outages, but I was able to sell out of my position in this red candle right up here. I'm looking for this gap fill. So I still think this bond trade is on because I think the
Okay,
inflation report that's going to come out next week is going to be light. So what I'm looking
okay,
for in today's session is I would love to see a fill of this gap, and then I'm going to re-enter my position, not with the same level of size that I had earlier, because I don't really see us getting, another explosive move like this. But I'm definitely going to re-add my position and see if I can hold this one into the inflation reports next week.
okay. So you've drifted quite a ways from originally your narrative was to hold cannabis stocks, and
Yes.
then right, and then now they're getting cheap. Are you interested in them now? They've gotten pretty cheap.
Yeah, so when the trend broke in the cannabis stocks, that's the main thing, especially for my trading contest. I have to be very flexible. So I'm not someone that like I come up with a view, doesn't work, and I stick with it. But
Yeah,
today of all days, I am actually looking at the cannabis stocks again. And the main reason why is because I noticed that in the polls, for a while, Donald Trump was winning in terms of betting odds. He was absolutely destroying Joe Biden. Now that Kamala Harris has stepped in for Joe Biden, those betting odds have actually flipped. And Kamala Harris is actually leading Donald Trump right now. So what I'm thinking is, hey, when Donald Trump was absolutely crushing it, there were some Trump trades. Like for example, like
yeah.
DJT flipped to the upside, had like a crazy move. We saw energy take a dip to the downside. We saw China stocks take a dip to the downside. So as this sort of like, I guess like blue wave trade could come, I think cannabis could be a beneficiary of that. So I'm
You know
actually
what that looks like
starting
right
to
there
put
on
that
the
on.
daily? What we had on Monday, and is that what we're getting today, or that was yesterday? The green candle.
This was yesterday.
Okay. Well, that gap down
Hmm.
turns out to be an exhaustion gap.
Yep.
That it got filled after a breakdown, and we're trading back above those lows.
Hmm.
I think, yeah, I think that red candle cleaned everyone out who was holding it. So everyone who was holding it, with 7 stops, they're gone. They got flushed, and now we're still back at 7 and should come in higher. That's a nice trade. I like it.
Yeah. So this
And
one,
it's contrarian. I mean, people are, you know, uh, so discouraged,
oh
waiting
yeah.
for legislation, waiting for uh, these companies to be able to write off things, to have bank accounts. You know, people that see that they're making money. A lot of these companies, they can't get listed off the Nasdaq. I have a friend who has laid out the whole bullish narrative, and maybe it's time.
Yeah. So I think, like, to be honest, like, I have not
Oh
traded
yeah,
these stocks in maybe like 6 months, but
yeah,
today is literally the first day
and that's
that I'm
something
like,
I brought it up. Yeah,
yeah. So I'm looking at it now, but to be honest, like, the chart is broken. This is something that I would be trading at this point with smaller size. Earlier, when I was looking at this thing, the chart, if you look over here, was starting to look a lot better. We were
yeah.
getting higher lows, that sort of thing. Now it's really like this is completely bombed out. Maybe if you're willing to hold for the longer term, maybe like this is an ideal entry point. But yeah, to me, I'm keeping it on my radar. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Anything in energy that's piqued your interest at all? Because they've been getting cheap.
Yeah, so energy is another one. There's this one I've traded a few times over the past couple of years, Occidental Petroleum, just
Yeah,
because I know Warren Buffett has been accumulating this stock. So this is another one as well. Like if you look at it here, we are getting towards this prior support level. So this is definitely interesting. Like I noticed there's a lot of groups right here that they all look very interesting. They're all hitting like longer term support levels.
yeah.
So this is good. When I trade this one, I primarily sell put options in it. And that's typically my trade for Oxy and these energy stocks. But to be honest, like if we end up getting sort of like that blue wave trade, clean energy perhaps could get interesting. So I'm putting that back on my radar. Again, clean energy and cannabis, they're so bombed out. I don't think anyone is looking at these. But if they start to show some relative strength, let's say in today's session or like in the next week or two, I'll probably jump into some of these like blue wave trades.
Okay. Do you think that that we had a capitulation move Monday, and what do you make out of the fact that on a 10, not even a 10% pullback in the S&Ps, the VIX went to 60?
Yeah, that was fascinating to me. So to me, what that told me is there were probably a lot of players that were shorting volatility. And we were just in this market environment where it was like buy the Magnificent Seven stocks, you can't go wrong. Nvidia is just going to keep going up and up and up. And I think there were just so many players that kept adding to those trades and adding to them. So I really think this incident we just had, it was almost like a Volmageddon, where I think
Yeah,
the
it
selling was
was.
largely mechanical.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think it's crazy. Now I see the VIX is coming off quite a bit. So to me, that's a really encouraging sign that the VIX, didn't hang around up there in the 60s.
yep. Does it say anything to you about market fragility,
Definitely. Yeah, I think the longer we remain in,
liquidity?
yeah, the liquidity is insane. I think,
Because
yeah, go
Andrew,
ahead.
I trade TLT too, but I
Okay.
remember when the TLT chart did not have dots.
Hmm.
Okay, they used to be full-bodied candles. Now you
Mm.
have sessions. Look at all these sessions where you have like no range.
Yeah.
They're just dots. They look like one of the most liquid deep markets on the planet has candles like a bulletin board stock where
Yeah, it
you have to
is.
make an appointment to trade it.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. And I
Yeah,
think
it
it's just,
smooths out with the weekly, but you look at that daily. And then even
Uh-huh.
like go to a 4 hour and there's a lot of space, uh, you could watch it and it won't trade for a few seconds.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and
So
this
it's
TLT,
not,
this is the most liquid one as well.
yeah. And look at that chart.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes,
mean,
this
do
is
you
interesting.
remember the early days when you looked at bulletin board and things like that? And I think the expression was, do I have to make an appointment to do a trade in this?
Yeah, I wasn't around for bulletin boards, but yeah, that was
Pinks, altcoins, same type of thing,
mhm.
where you just have no liquidity. And it looks like on the bottom there's volume, but maybe that's not the kind of volume they used to get. Um, anyway, that's my problem with the liquid instrument starting to look like a penny stock.
Mhm.
Technically, not. I'm not. It's not a comment on bonds. It's a comment on the chart.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, so I've been looking for the tightness here to develop because as you mentioned, like it's been trading so sloppy. So that's a lot of what I look for when something is sloppy and it starts to tighten up more. That's usually when the supply and demand dynamics are more so coming in line. And then you can get moves like this that are very explosive.
yeah. Okay. What else is on the menu? Tech stocks. Do you think even if we have a recovery in tech, that it's a rally to sell?
Yes, so I'm so glad you brought this up. So I think the tech stocks play directly into the S&P 500 and potentially getting back to the highs in the S&P 500 because I know that's like the big question on everyone's minds like, we're down here, how quickly do we get back up here? And then same thing for the Nasdaq as well. With the Nasdaq, how quickly can we get back to these
So you
highs
think new
all the
high?
way up
People
here?
think new highs are a layup from here.
I believe so, because that's kind of what we've all been fed. Like every time the market
So
dips, it just
isn't
rips
that
right
too
back.
pat? Is it too pat that we did lots of damage, more than we did in April?
Hmm.
So I'm wondering. I think that maybe the S&Ps could
Hmm.
make new highs, but I look at tech, the SMH, and
Yeah.
that's broken to me. Now
Oh
this is
yeah.
NASDAQ. Look at SMH.
Yeah. This thing
Okay,
looks
you
like a
had
train
five
wreck.
waves down. Yeah, give me let the market, be a great tell.
Hmm.
If NASDAQ or S&Ps are making a new high,
Hmm.
and all we get is a retracement move in the semis, like back to 260 or so,
Hmm.
that would be a nice warning sign about the rest of the market because this led
Definitely.
it all the way up.
Definitely. So this is for sure a group to keep on the radar
Yeah.
because I do believe if this group doesn't lead us higher, like if technology doesn't lead and those mega caps don't lead, then we need some other group or even multiple smaller groups to pick up the baton. And so far,
Oh,
we're just not
that's
seeing
a
any
Russell.
evidence.
That's a Russell, Andrew. It broadened out.
Yeah, look at this.
Russell. Oh,
Complete.
oh, didn't it broaden out?
Yeah, complete
It
retracement.
broadened out the bottom.
Hmm. But yeah,
What
I
what do you
th-
think? Would you buy Russell here?
no, I wouldn't. Yeah, I
Why?
think,
I mean, 2 weeks ago everyone loved it. Why? Tell me why. Because it had a false breakout,
yeah,
and
I
now we're
think,
at support.
yeah, I think with all of these, um, this is like a big red flag for me. If an asset breaks out and then it completely retraces the breakout like it did
Yeah,
here, that's a red flag. If we were looking for like a very nice, healthy continuation to just start right now, and we were assuming this was just like a viable dip, I
yeah,
would think that this wouldn't do a full retrace. Maybe it would
no,
retrace like 25% of the move, or maybe even half of the move. But a
yeah,
full retrace is you're basically starting off at square one, and then you have bag holders up
yeah.
there, so potentially even less than square one. Um,
Um, what kind of bags, Andrew, do bag holders hold now? Is it paper or plastic?
I don't know, probably the plastic or something. those like
You know,
recyclable ones you have to pay for now.
yeah, yeah. Well, I hope they punch a hole in it before they put it over their head so they don't suffocate. Um, all right. Anything you're seeing in, people have been crying in their soup about uranium positions. Um, uranium stocks have really gotten hammered, and there was a big following of them. No wonder they're crying. Okay, so here's another broken sector.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, so with these, I think it really depends like what kind of trader you are. Because like for me, I look at this and there's really like nothing to trade unless I'm like a mean reversion trader and I'm going like, okay, let me slap my Bollinger Bands on here. Okay, we're hitting the 3 standard deviation Bollinger Band. Maybe I have a strategy in place where like
yeah,
I buy at the bottom band, maybe I sell somewhere in here. I think unless that's your style of trading, which can be an amazing style, I don't really think there's a trade here. Like if you're like a trend follower, a lot of the trades in the market are just completely busted. So I think it's really about
yeah,
like waiting because I know this is the thing. Every trader wants to predict the market. So a lot of people are like, oh, what's going to happen next? Like, let me just buy all this stuff. What I try to do is look at what is being bought up first, look at what's behaving a little bit better. And you don't have to be like the first one in. Like, you can always wait to see, what's showing some relative strength. So I can show you the one trade that I'm working on. It's actually my biggest trade right now. It's another one I've been in and out of all year. Alibaba right here. So if you look
interesting.
at Alibaba, like look at this chart compared
Yeah,
to, SOX or Russell 2000 or uranium that
yeah,
we just looked at.
yeah,
This one, of course, like in the on the weekly chart, this thing has fallen off a cliff. But if we look here, it's starting to look more like a bottoming pattern.
yeah. Two higher lows.
And if you look at the last
Yeah,
two sessions,
yeah,
Alibaba opened up right on the dead lows. And of
yeah,
course, yesterday we got some afternoon selling and pretty much everything.
yeah.
But Alibaba, this is my biggest position right now. And I was fortunate I didn't take a drawdown in this big sell off. So I had like that clarity and I stepped up to the plate and bought some the other day towards the low end of this candle. They have earnings coming up on August 15th, and I'm probably going to hold through that earnings report.
Okay.
So yeah, this one
So you
is
like China here? That's you're contrarian.
yeah, I
I
like
don't think most
Alibaba.
people, everyone's talk about China, the end of the world for China, and a lot of the Chinese stocks look okay.
Yeah, a lot of them are starting to look good. Like this one here, Billy. I'm not as
So maybe
familiar with this
maybe
one.
China liked the revaluation of the yen. It didn't seem to affect the carry trade. Didn't seem to have impact on it.
Agreed. And sometimes I kind of laugh about it. I'm like, maybe it's just because
That's
like
interesting.
everyone is out of this group and like no one even owned it to sell it. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, look at Billy. It's so different than the other charts that we were
yeah,
just looking at.
yeah.
So yeah, this one as well,
So
10-cent music. This one was a massive leader. This kind of looks more like the other charts, right? Where it
yeah, a
did
little
get
broken. Yeah,
bombed out. But you can
yeah.
see it's very quickly getting to the
Right.
bottom of this base here. So
The
yeah, this
metals are
group I
the
like.
metals are doing that too. Is there anything in mining? Maybe you could wrap up anything in mining that you like. I know uranium got killed. Certain silver stocks they're in a big retracement move. Okay, I'll go with GDX. GDX looked like it was breaking down, and it's had that 2 day recovery. You know what I've noticed, and I talked about it, Andrew, that yesterday's lows across
Mhm.
the board are really important. A lot of them
Yes.
held 200-day moving averages. Um, so we've had a hold and a bounce, and we're
Mhm.
getting another bounce today.
Mhm.
Um, but watch out below if we take out Monday's lows and everything. Okay. That's the way I see the market. Otherwise, I have to keep an open mind. It's not where I would sell it yet, but 5,400 S&Ps might be worth a shot. The GDX, yeah, see, it looked like a breakdown, and now we might be getting a false breakdown. So
Yeah.
that low, if that low gives away in gold, which I was, looking for, um, yesterday looked like it would happen. Today, not. The shares acting better. I would love to see, 32, 31 on
Mhm.
GDX for back up the truck.
Agreed. Yeah, and there's not many bag holders here, which is so important. So I think at this juncture,
Yeah.
there's two different kinds of trades. One kind of trade is let me go for something that is incredibly bombed out, that I think is too bombed out. Maybe I like the group, like the sector, and I'm playing for that mean reversion because it got way too overdone. That's like one flavor. And then the other flavor is let me look at what didn't get absolutely killed because that's showing the real relative strength and could be a leader. So
Exactly.
I'll put GDX in that category.
And you know what? I was looking at NVIDIA, Andrew, and it looks just like this. And they're two completely, well, kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Gold it was shorter, but NVIDIA still looks like that was just three waves.
Oh yeah, yeah. Nvidia,
ABC.
it doesn't look as bad as you would think based on like the
Yeah,
news and just
yeah,
how everyone's acting. Yeah, the earnings are going to be huge on this one.
yeah. Wild time. These are really, if someone said that the markets are boring to me, and I go, gosh, if you find like, historic moves in VIX and, everything happening in bonds and currencies and energy, these are wonderful markets for traders.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is fantastic volatility, and that's where you can earn some good P&L if you're smart and if you're flexible. In a high vol environment,
Yeah.
traders that don't obey their stops or their discipline,
Oh
those
yeah.
traders get exposed.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's super important. Last thing I'll leave you off on here. This is
Okay,
the big
Andrew.
thing I'm watching for next week. Is take a look at
Okay.
this. So this here, I always write about really like my full game plan over the weekend.
Yeah,
But
that's when
this,
I do my work.
yeah. So
Markets
this
are
is
close.
absolutely. So CPI is going to be out next week, and if you look, like let's just say we're technical analysts, let's do technical analysis on the CPI. The low print for the year over year CPI was 2.97%, and we are testing that low. Next week, we're going to get a new number. My view, my speculation is the number is going to come out light because even if you look at the Trueflation dashboard, it's cratering. Crude oil, as we saw, cratering. Uranium, energy, those things are deflationary. If this year over year CPI next week comes out, let's say this thing moves to 2.8, 2.7, breaks a new low, I think that will be a bullish catalyst for bonds. So that's why, as we mentioned at the beginning of this program, I'm going to be buying into this gap fill right here. So
All
that's
right.
what I'm playing for next week.
Okay. Because we should take out the high all the way to the left. And
That's my
the
thesis.
weekly could go to, 110.
Indeed. Yeah, my thesis is, and it's not anything complex, if inflation moves to a new low, then hey, this TLT, why can't it move to a new swing high? So we'll see
Okay.
how it works out, but
And
that's the logic.
this time the market likes it and blows to a new high into September, October.
Mm-hmm.
You think so?
New high in September, October for TLT or for equities. I missed that.
Yeah, for S&Ps.
For S&Ps, I really think we're going to have to wait for the next earnings cycle of the Mag 7 stocks. I
Okay.
think I don't see any way of us getting back to those old highs when all these companies just reported earnings and they all like whiffed their earnings reports and institutions didn't like it. So that's why I think as active traders, the beauty is we don't have to be trading just the mega cap tech or just the headline indices. I think there's going to be other areas like even this Upstart put up a really good earnings report And look at this thing, it's up 24%. So I think in this environment, it's all about what you're trading and just focusing
Yes.
on stuff that's not
Selection.
dive bombing. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, stock selection, stock
Mm-hmm.
picking,
Yeah.
screening a lot of things to find compelling setups.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do, huh, buddy?
Exactly.
So, do you want people to follow you? You have an interest in it? You had that. You have a service, Andrew? I mean, you were showing things from your writings. Where can people go to keep in touch with your thoughts and your tactics?
Yeah. If you go to pristinecapital.substack.com, every single night I put all of my evening homework in a research note for investors and traders. And then every weekend I do the same thing. All of my homework, all of my research, I put into a research note and I send it out to subscribers.
Beautiful. Okay. What's the fee for your stuff?
It's $20 a month. It's dirt cheap, but I am going to have to raise it because it's weird. I want people to join, but I also don't because I'm so focused on the investing championship. I like to
Yeah.
keep it like very low noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now it's $20. I love
Yeah.
doing it. I've met some awesome people doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, definitely
I
check me
know.
out there. I'm on Twitter as well.
Yeah, check them out. Andrew, we've been talking for a few years. I want to thank you for your giving spirit. You come out here, you talk about your trading and what you're doing, and you give us good look aheads of what you're considering. Uh, Appreciate it because I know there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, a lot of time. So check Andrew out at Real Pristine Cap on X and go
Mm-hmm.
to his Substack and keep in touch with this guy. He has some really great takes on what's happening. You're the first guy that talked about blue wave trades today.
Thank you
So
so much.
good stuff, bro.
Thanks so much,
And
Dale. I always appreciate hopping on with you.
all right, Andrew O'Connell, everyone.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.